Welcome back to the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Listen, you guys, this is going to be a really good, much needed conversation. Bayard Rustin. If you guys don't know about him, you're going to want to tell all your friends and family members, everybody, to tune in right now at the Juice Radio and Talk Show. We're about to have a conversation about this wonderful man that helped us so much in history, yet very few of us know of him. Y'all, let me run this intro and we're going to be right back.
Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV, church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Nicole is a special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. You guys, I'm so excited. I've got these wonderful gentlemen on here that I'm so proud and honored that they're joining me to have this conversation about another wonderful gentleman that society and history has tried to erase. But I am so glad that people like President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are out here saying, listen, we cannot let his name die. We cannot let the work that he did go unknown. You guys, you're going to want to join in on this conversation. I'm so excited about it. And you guys, I'm so excited to also have the gentleman on my panel here joining me. Justin from Justin Talks Film is here along with JoJo Speaks. Justin, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here. If you guys have not subscribed to Justin Talks Film, you want to do that. He's sharing some movie tips and movie ideas and movie reviews, and he does such a great job at it. That's why if anybody was going to be on here to have this movie review with me, it's going to be Justin from Justin Talks Film. Y'all go over there to his channel and subscribe today at Justin Talks Film. We'll also drop it in the comments. And y'all know we all love this one. Our JoJo, the most wanted person on social media as far as wanting to be on everybody's panel. Everybody wants Jonathan on here. Y'all welcome JoJo Speaks with Jonathan. Jonathan, how you doing?
It's always a good time for me to be in this space where I can discuss one of my favorite topics of all time, and that's the life and times of a gay Black man. I'm so excited to get to this conversation. It's so important, and this was such an amazing movie. I loved every single bit of it. No criticisms whatsoever. Absolutely adored it, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, this is, man, let me tell you, I'm gonna just say off the jump right now, okay? I know we just started. We just pulling out the gate, y'all. But let me just say this: as a Christian Black woman, I was so mad at my church people for their part in what I believe was the hidden of Mr. Rustin. And I'm going to get more into that, you guys. I'm going to get more into that. But let's say hello to Aaron. How you doing, Aaron?
Hey, Aaron.
Thank you for being here. Remember, you guys, click like, click subscribe, click share. She said, remember to subscribe to the Handsomes.
Yes.
And there is Justin Talks Film information in the chat. Make sure y'all click on that and subscribe today. You guys, let's go ahead and have this conversation. Now, most of you who are tuning in, if you have not watched the movie already, the movie is Rustin, Rustin. It is about a wonderful gentleman by the name of Bayard, Bayard Rustin. And he was the machine, the engine behind the movement to get Dr. Martin Luther King and all of us to do that civil rights movement, you guys. He was the machine back there. A lot of people remember the I Have a Dream speech. Well, that speech would not have taken place at that location with those amount of people there if it was not for the one person that sparked it and began that road of let's make our voices known. The man behind all of that, that put all that together, was Mr. Bayard Rustin. He was side by side with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Listen, he even said in the movie, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't even want to use his voice for this powerful movement. But Bayard was like, nope, we're not going to say no, and we're not going to accept no. But you guys, his voice was not heard as much in history because of this one major factor. He was an openly gay man. And so many people have kept his name hidden, I believe, for that purpose. But you guys, you know how we do on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. We're going to share this information because it is needed. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was also in the movie, and it has one scene that was very powerful. And it was a scene where Bayard came into a meeting, which he thought was just going to be with him and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it happened to be the board of the civil rights movement. Sorry,
NAACP.
Thank you, the NAACP. And Martin Luther King, you guys, basically, in my eyes, chose his faith over his longtime dedicated friend, simply because being that Dr. Martin Luther King was a preacher, a pastor, he did not think that his gay friend would qualify for his approval at the time that they sat at that table. But I will say this, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. changed that narrative when he realized he's got to lead with his heart and not with the thoughts of others when it comes to his dear friend who helped him on this journey. And the acknowledgement that he gave Bayard Rustin was one that was needed. And now we all need to do the same. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the panel here and let's have a discussion about it. You can watch this movie on Netflix. Powerful movie. Jonathan, Justin, so good you guys are here. Justin, tell us your thoughts of this movie.
So many thoughts. One, and one of the reasons I'm so glad you're here, Jonathan, is I'm embarrassed to say I had never even heard of Bayard Rustin before I watched this film.
Neither have I.
It goes to what you're saying, Regina. You know, our history lessons, our history books were really missing this critical information. But I really appreciated seeing Dr. King, his leadership from an LGBT perspective. It, especially at that time, 50, 60 years ago, we see the headline things that he did, but having to navigate, something like, an LGBT scandal and things like that, that was just riveting to watch. What do you think, Jonathan?
I had heard about Rustin maybe a couple of years ago, just in passing. I can't remember. I think it might have been maybe a short news story, or during Black History Month, where they were spotlighting under recognized people in the African American civil rights movement. However, when Regina suggested that I watched the movie this past Saturday after morning prayer, I was like, oh, I had watched like maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes of it, and I just kind of let it go. I was like, I don't know about this. But then Regina said, we're going to do a review on it. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I need to watch this. And so when I watched it, I learned so much. And I saw so much of the LGBTQIA plus community in Rustin himself, because he represents us all. He really does represent all of us. And it was so amazing to see the friendship that he and Dr. King both had, not only with Dr. King, but his relationship with Coretta, which was so sweet. When he came to the door and she said, "As I live and breathe," that is a quote that I know that is used by a lot of people in the LGBTQIA plus community. So that told me that Coretta was cool with the gays, and that just sent me up. That just sent me over and beyond. And also too, I had no idea that Coretta can sing. And so when Rustin encouraged her to start singing in the kitchen, and she started singing, it was so beautiful. But I'm sure we'll get into certain intricacies in the movie later on. But just overall, I learned so much, and I felt as though the love story in the peek into his love life humanized Rustin, because all we saw outside of his love story was the work that he was doing. He was so dedicated to his work, and he knew that it was so important, but he also was human as well, and he needed his other needs attended to as well. And so I just love the entire movie altogether.
It was absolutely remarkable. Now, I want you all who are in the church sector now, you guys know I'm going to speak from the church perspective. I'm the church girl. I love the Lord loves me. But we need to start having these conversations, you guys. We need to open up our hearts and our eyes and start having these conversations. I want all of you who are in the church sector to please watch this movie. Do not close your eyes because your first thought is he's a gay man. All of you who celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and you honor him, especially on those days that you get off from work and have those barbecues, and also that you're able to walk down the street without any thought of being hindered or hurt because of your nationality. I want you to watch this movie because this movie is going to take your mindset from one place to think about the LGBTQIA plus community, or the gay community, as a lot of church people are still referring to it as. It's going to take your mindset to soften, to understand. We have got to change our narrative about what we think about the LGBTQIA plus community. We have got to stop thinking that they cannot be a part of our church ministry, a part of our congregation, or a part of our lives, when they are behind the scenes fighting for us to have the same freedoms that we want, they also want. So that's the narrative that I'm looking at this from, you guys. That's the way it hit me. This man fought so hard for freedom. But not only did he fight for the freedom of Blacks to be free, he fought for the freedom for his own internal self-freedom. He was beaten. He was beaten on the buses for not wanting to give up his seat. He was beaten because he wanted to choose to love an individual which he wanted to love. He was beaten. But yet, even in that beating, he still loved the Black community enough, even, thank you, Holy Spirit, to stand and take those hits for the own Black people, our own Black people that would turn their backs on him. He still continued to fight so that we all could be free. You guys, this is a powerful movie. Y'all have got to see it. Justin, let me turn it back over to you so we can continue to share some more. And I'm going to bring up some information on the screen here as well.
Absolutely. One of the reasons he's a true hero is not only did he have to fight for our community, he had to fight within his own community.
Correct.
You got an opportunity to see, some of the things that we talk about, sometimes you feel surrounded on all sides. Awesome. And I am just grateful to him as a human being that he never got tired, that he never got tired of fighting in his own home, in the street, wherever he went. And, we owe a lot to Mr. Rustin.
We do. Now, I'm going to bring up this Wikipedia and then I'm going to come down to Jonathan. But I don't want you guys to just think, oh, you guys are just saying this because of we love the LGBTQIA plus community. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
But I also
let's get that straight.
Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. like straight and perm straight. But let me tell you guys this. I want us to be able to celebrate the good works of all. Mm-hmm. This man gave his life for a mission. And that mission was for all of us. And I want us to stop thinking that because of someone's sexuality preference or someone's skin color or someone's difference from us, that we cannot accept them. That's the real reason that this movie had a major impact on me, being that I grew up in the church and hearing how many times people would disregard, the gay community and not want anything to do with them. And yet when I learned this one man is one of the key reasons why I'm free, why I'm really free. And yet I don't want to let him and others like him in my church building, that because of him, I can have because of that freedom. We've got to do better. This is Bayard Rustin on the screen here. This is his Wikipedia page. Man, amazing. This is his partner, his life partner on the screen here. I'm going to give you some information about him, but also here's the information. Look at this. The Smithsonian Institution also wrote beautiful information about him. It says Rustin was a key organizer, you guys. Okay. It wasn't just Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Rustin was the engine behind this. He was a key organizer of the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom and was one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s closest advisors, especially on techniques of nonviolent resistance. Rustin was extremely active in the Congress of Racial Equality and helped to create the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. However, early in his career, he was arrested for moral cause, which led to his outing to the public. However, once outed, Rustin was completely open about his sexuality and was never ashamed. Criticism and discrimination over his sexuality led Rustin to have a more background role in the civil rights movement. He never wanted his sexuality to have a negative effect on the movement, which is often the reason that Rustin's efforts are not widely known.
Mhm.
Jonathan, let me come on down to you. Share your information.
Absolutely. What I want to get into, focus on now is Rustin's haters. And of course, we don't want to give them too much time, but I want to get into how he dealt with his haters and the vitriol in which his haters fought against him. First, I want to recognize the allegedly racist senator from South Carolina, Strom Thurmond, who went out of his way to try to out him because he heard about him organizing this march. He said, "Oh well, this man is of this, and this man is of that." Speaking to what he did, speaking to what he did in his past, and speaking to his. To what he did, but before he had gotten into a place of prominence, and also saying what had happened in Pasadena, and his arrest there, and trying to use that, of course, as Rustin said, that Strom Thurmond doesn't care about me. He's just trying to stop what we're doing. He doesn't care about what I do. That's not his point. His point is to stop what it is that we are doing. He does not want this march to happen. Also, there were two people in particular in his own community that were so much against him. Adam Clayton Powell, who said at the beginning of the movie, once Dr. King and our protagonist had said that they were going to be at the Democratic convention. Powell said, "Well, if they're going to do this, I'm going to out Martin and his queen." And I'm not talking about Coretta. I said, "Oh, so he really want to try it. Like he really wants to go there." And I thought that was quite interesting. And I saw where this was going. Also, the man who was played by Chris Tucker, who was Roy Wilkins, he was one of the heads of the NAACP. He was resistant initially, but even eventually he was able to come around, and he acquiesced to the wishes of Dr. King and his partner. And I love the fact that he understood that his disappointment in him, he could not let that overshadow the bigger picture, which was the fight for our civil rights, the fight for what is right. And I love the fact that he had that turnaround eventually. Although he may not have necessarily liked him that much. He may not have liked his tactics. He may not have liked the way that he went about things. He may not have liked the way that he conducted himself necessarily. His outspokenness. He definitely was unapologetic in every way, shape, and form. But he understood that the message was more important, and the fight was more important as well. So I love the fact that when they were in that meeting with the NAACP, and Powell said, "Well, how is it that we have this man who is out here in front, and he could cost us this fight? And would this man remove himself from the situation if he knew that he might be that he might be one to bring down this fight for us?" And he went on to ask his people who were working for him to give him all the details on everything that they have put together to make this a successful march. And that in itself was a read to his face. He didn't even have to say anything to the man. All he had to do was show his work, show what the hard work that his people have done and put in to make this a success. And then the fact that he brought up Pasadena, and Rustin, his face just he was frozen in time. And the power that Powell had against him was so powerful. But at the end of the day, we had a winner, and we know who the winner was.
And I love that scene too. And then I'm going to pass it over to Justin. I love that scene because in that scene, you have, again, the way I viewed that scene was, Powell, you are a Black man. This march is for you too.
Right.
Why are you so upset? Is it because you're not the one that's putting it together? Because the focus is not on you?
Precisely
And again,
that.
that's how I feel with a lot of us sometimes with our culture, because you're not the one that's leading it. You know it's a good thing, but you don't want to accept it. And then we take someone's past, dig it up, bring it to the forefront, and try and stop the good work that is being done. That's how I was so upset when I was talking to the television, you guys.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So, but the other part that I love was this. When it came and Powell was like, he wanted to shut this whole movement down. Now, he knew it was a good movement, but because of who was leading it, he did not like that. And he wanted to shut the whole thing down. Rustin made sure to have his work speak for itself. That's why he started telling the team, tell me about this. You got the buses ready. You got the food ready. You got this ready. You got that ready. And I want to say this to the viewers. When you're on an assignment to do something and the work is great that you're doing, there are going to be people that look just like you that will try and shut the vision down. But let your work speak for itself. It doesn't matter what happens in your past. If the work is great, the resistance is going to be great. But Rustin did not let that stop him, you guys. This movie inspired and ignited me so much. When I saw it, I said, oh, it took me to a whole nother level. Justin, go ahead, Justin. Thoughts?
As we noticed, certain things that people said, Martin Luther King's confidence in him, the Pasadena stuff, it really did shake his confidence or his mojo. And but that really tells me it really took a lot of courage to stand up for himself and show confidence in those meetings to say, I'm the only one that can do this, and this is why. I'm like I said before, I'm just grateful to him that he showed that courage. He stood on his own. There was no one from his office. There was no one really there to support him.
No.
But because of the vision and because of the love that he had for, the community and the outcome, he fought for his own credibility and his own legacy. And that was really beautiful.
Yes. You guys, there's also a organization. Now, in the movie, it shows Rustin's partner at the time. His name is Walter Neagle. He was the white gentleman that's in the film. And I was so glad that they showed their relationship. I was so glad that they showed this. This movie had so many moving parts for you to watch. It covered so many areas. It covered us as a Black culture being beaten, being tried to be stopped, being suppressed. It also covered the LGBTQIA plus community, what they go through, the struggles that they went through. Thank you, Holy Spirit. It was showing there's a similarity with the struggles that we as Black Americans went through during the civil rights movement and all that. It also shows that those same struggles the LGBTQIA plus community struggle with. So we are like-minded, you guys. It seems as though we went through the same thing. We fought as Black people simply because we're Black. We wanted our freedom. Gay people still are fighting today because they want their freedom. But the difference now, you guys, is it's not necessarily the whites, I'm going to say allegedly, that are beating them up. It's the same people that Rustin fought for to be free. Us. It's us. And it's the church. You guys, this is a legacy that we cannot stop. We cannot stop this. We've got to shout this out because, again, he was part of the movement, the major part that had this to go into effect. Now, not only was him, but his great partner, Walter Neagle. Walter Neagle is so encouraged to continue the work of Rustin. Here's his Wikipedia information. Here's his page. He currently resides, I believe, still in New York, allegedly, and he still is pushing the work for his partner. Now, Rustin has passed away. And Nigel Walter, he say, listen, I'm not going to let your legacy die. I'm
Mhm.
going to continue this legacy. So he has made it his mission, and he is being very successful at this because there's a center that he has. And I'm going to share this information. Before I do that, Justin, let me come over to you and have you share some more commentary on this.
And I don't know if we're here yet, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie was the final scene when, the march is all said and done, and
Mhm.
they've arranged this meeting with the Big Ten, and Chris Rock has really gone through his character shift
Mhm.
and says, it'd be fine if you were in the room with us. And he really shows his commitment to service and leadership by saying, I'd rather pick garbage than
Right.
go stand in a room and just show platitudes. I'd rather actually do the work and
The
show my
work.
service, and that really stuck with me. I think I was a mess watching that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was too, Justin, and thank you so much for reminding us of that part because after the work was done, thank you, Holy Spirit, after the work is done and all the people leave and all the great leaders have said their speech, there's still work that still needs to be done. But oftentimes it's the work that the great leaders don't want to do. And what
Right.
Rustin did was Rustin says, I'm not too high and I'm not too low. I am still going to continue to work, even if it means that you see it as a lower position. But what Rustin was saying was, I don't see it as a lower position. I see this as one of the best positions. So when he
Right.
went over to the young man that had the sash on and was picking up the trash, and he says, would you mind or may I or something? The beautiful, his voice was amazing too. I loved it.
Yes.
And the young man gave him the satchel and the stick, and he went out there and he started picking up trash. Come on. That is the sign of a great leader. Somebody that does not have to be in the front, somebody that does not always have to be seen, but somebody that is mighty enough to say, listen, I can get down here, pick up trash, and do a great job at it. And no job is too low and no job is too high. We are all in this equality thing together. I
Absolutely.
love it. Jonathan, go ahead.
I think one of my favorite quotes, I have a bunch of favorite quotes, but one of my favorite quotes was right after Strom Thurmond had ousted Rustin for what had happened in Pasadena, the NAACP had created a meeting concerning the march, and they said that they wanted to ask for Rustin's resignation. And Rustin took Martin into a back room, and he said, "The day I was born Black, and I was born gay. These people either fight for justice and freedom for all or not." And that's just as simple as it is, because if you say that you fight for your justice, but not mine, that makes
Oh,
you a what? Hypocrite.
Ooh.
In
all
every sense
kinds
of
of
the
ways.
word, you are a hypocrite. Because
Yeah.
if you don't want to fight for my justice as well, if you don't think I deserve justice, then what does that make you? How does that make you feel as though you deserve it as well? So I loved that fact, and I also loved that when both Rustin and Martin had when Rustin had gone back to Martin's house after 3 years of not talking to him, and they had that a little meeting after his sing along with Coretta and the kids. He said, "What you see, I cannot conceal," and I feel the exact same way because I tried to conceal myself for so long. And I had to come to the realization that I am me. There is nothing that I can do about it. Whether I like it or not, I'm going to talk like this. I'm going to walk like this. I'm going to do whatever it is that I do, the way that I do it, because that is who I am. And there's no hiding that at all. So I'm not even, what's the point of trying to hide it? There's no reason for me to try to hide it. When God has placed in me something special that should be shared with the world, that he wants to be shared with the world. And who am I to stop God's plan from happening? But there's the way that he spoke,
Yes.
every single line, I hung on his every single
Every
word
word.
that
Every
came
word.
out of his mouth. I loved the bathroom scene between he and Elias right after their meeting, concerning their first meeting concerning the march. And Elias during the meeting has shot it down. But he said in the bathroom that, he would have supported it, but he felt like he didn't have the voice to. And he said,
Yeah.
"Oh, so you felt like you didn't have the voice to support it, but you had the voice to shut it down." And you know that realization, he holds people's feet to the fire. He doesn't let you get away when you have the power to make a point, when you have the power to speak up. And I don't know if you guys want to get into the relationship with Elias, but that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, because I'm just a love type of person. I love to see the interaction between lovers, but you know, it's just an amazing thing all together. I also loved his relationship with Miss Hall, who was played by Audrina
Yes.
McDonald, who is a great Broadway actress. I think she has 4 or 5 Tonys, the most Tony Awards of any Broadway actress. When she encouraged him to get back in touch with Dr. Martin Luther King, she said, you know, separately, you guys are fine, but together, y'all are fire, because they're both one and the same, to be honest. You know, Dr. King is a little bit quieter, not as bombastic as Rustin is. Rustin is Dr. King to the 10th power, at least in my opinion. And so, you know, for her to recognize that and see that and say that your friendship is more important than him letting you down 3 years ago, you got to get over that thing, because the movement is so much more important.
It is. She really spoke him into a position of get yourself back up and let's get this thing going. And to speak really briefly on Elias, the thing that I picked up from that too, when they were in the bathroom, Rustin, first he was realizing who Elias really was.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he sat on the bench outside, or the stone outside, when they were in the park, when he sat there and had that conversation with him, and he was basically trying to tell him, you cannot continue to live a life in secret, or a life that you want to keep hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So Rustin, even at that point, was still trying to promote freedom. But in everything, there will always be opposers. So what Elias ended up doing, he said, you know, no, he didn't want to do it, even though his wife knew what was going on, his secret life. She still chose, I'm going to stay with him. He's going to be the pastor of my father's church.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we know that his life that he wants is different from the life that his wife was about to make him live. That was a whole lot. But Rustin still wanted to get people to live their freedom. I'm going to come over to Justin, and I'm going to share some information here. Olga, thank you so much for this beautiful comment. Olga said this. She says, I'm over 70. I've never heard of him either.
Wow.
See? Me neither, Olga. She said this whole conversation leads to the bigger issue of jealousy. People will fight against you just because they are jealous of you.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they will. Justin, please. And let me get this too. Mary H said this. Thank you, Mary. She said MLK should have kept him closer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't write down all of the ladies' names, but this film really underscores the importance of allyship. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Rustin was a really, really strong leader and a confident person, but he needed to be held up at very important times. And I was so grateful for the women that were around him to say, no, you're just as great, you know, to Jonathan's point, as Martin Luther King. You know, you need to connect with him. I agree with you, Jonathan. I think Rustin should have been the president of the United States. Unfortunately, right, we are always relegated to, you know, being the off to the side a bit. You know, our highest aspirations are just to be a facilitator of greatness, and that's something, you know, I think we need to work on as a community.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I want to put this on stage here right now to share with you guys. This is, let me tell you, this is such a powerful statement. Now, this is from his center, from the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice. This is the one that his lifelong partner, Walter Neagle, is still running today. And here's from the website, and I put this information in the description of this video. If it's not there, I'll make sure that it's there. But this is one of the information that's on the page, which is beautiful. Look at the picture there, you guys. The picture, if you can see that, you see him standing there. This is from the march. and the speech, and it's just mighty. And it says here, we need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers.
Mhm.
Bayard Rustin planned the march, brought nonviolence to the movement, inspired the freedom riders, spoke truth to power, lost to history, edited out of the books written, excised from the stories told because of who he loved, who he was. A queer Black man embracing his identity in all his beautiful intersectionality, amplifying the inclusivity of his very being, sewing his square into the ancestral quilt, into the interwoven tapestry of our shared communities. Our Sacronost mission here at the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice to make sure no one else ever gets left behind again,
Mhm.
not on a large or small scale, not to a leader of a movement, a worker in an office, a student in a community classroom, nor to any individual in any community. Now, you guys, this is his website. Look at this. Look at all these beautiful people. Look at this. This is his website. And he puts here angelic troublemakers assemble.
Mm.
He's still, and this is being run by Walter Neagle. This is being run by Walter Neagle because they don't want what happened to Rustin to continue to happen to others, simply because people may not view you as being okay to be part of a group. You can be part of the group. You can. And just because people don't accept you does not mean that you stop the mission of your work. Continue the work. Jonathan, let me come down to you.
Right. I want to go back to that scene that you referenced a little bit earlier before when Rustin and Elias were sitting on the bench. I felt as though, although Elias Taylor is a fictional character in the story, I don't believe he actually existed. Now, a character like him may have existed in Rustin's personal life. However, I believe this was a fictional character. But when they were on that bench, Elias was wanting to break it off with Rustin. And he started muttering this sentence back over and over again. For the desires of the flesh are against the spirit. And after the last time he said that, Rustin finished that quote by saying, "To keep you from what you desire most." What's so important about Elias's presence in this movie is a representation of what many in the LGBTQIA plus community deal with in our dating and relationship lives. We deal with those who are still in the closet, those who are not comfortable with being out, those who are in relationships with the opposite sex, so some who are married, and they show the struggle. Sometimes you have to hold. It's a holding of the hand type of situation where you have to hold the hand of the person who is not there yet, who is not at your level yet. But you still share something so special. I loved the chemistry between Elias and Rustin. When they were talking in the bar. And Rustin was saying what Powell had said, that he was going to tell everyone about him and Martin. There was a rumor. He created this rumor that Rustin and Martin were lovers at one point, and that's just so preposterous. And for
Great.
Powell to deliberately want to make that statement, to simply discredit Rustin, probably both Rustin and Martin at the same time. And Rustin was clearly a little bit down after he revealed that to Elias, and Elias just softly placed his hand on his shoulder, and Rustin looked back at him with such endearing eyes. And Rustin said, "You're okay in this place at this hour." And the biggest smile just came onto my face at that moment, because that's when Elias realized he was in a safe space. He was with men who were like him, same gender loving men. And when you have that moment of realization where you are in a place where you are accepted and you can just be free, that is so overwhelmingly amazing to feel in that moment. And when they had the scene of Elias actually preaching, he was obviously very good at what he was doing. But to counter that with a scene of Rustin and Elias engaging in relations, I thought that was extremely, extremely interesting and poetic. and beautiful at the same time. I think some people may be against something like that, to have a scene of two men engaging in relations put up against a preacher who is making a sermon. I'm sure a lot of people would not agree with that, but I just thought personally that it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I was so livid in that scene when Rustin had Elias over his house. In the back of my mind, I was like, Tom is going to walk in. Tom is going to walk in. I know he's going to walk in. I know
A good guy.
there's no way
That's what
that
happened.
Tom was not going to walk in at the end of the scene. I know he's going to walk in. And then what happened? Tom walked into the scene.
He walked in.
I love the fact that Rustin basically told Tom later on in the movie, I want to wait until I'm older to fall in love. You know, there's work to be done right now, and I have to focus on my work. And at the end of the movie, it showed that, you know, he did fall in love at older age with his partner, and he waited. And it just shows that love is the same no matter what age you are. It feels the exact same. It does not go away. Love is just as powerful, just as abundant. It's just as searing as it is when you are younger. So I just
think
thought
Rustin used the outing to really release himself from a lot of that. And I love that. And we as and I love how we're doing this, because I'm speaking from the church, sector. You're speaking from the love sector, and Justin is speaking from, listen, let's just make sure we get this film and his whole narrative. I love how we all have our different narratives of this, which is wonderful.
I feel like the love doctor on here, and I ain't even in love. It's ridiculous.
You guys, there's a story that was written from the Business Insider, and this was written November of 2023. They have this beautiful article here, and it shows Bayard Rustin. It says the story how he organized a march in the 1963 march in Washington, but was nearly written off out of civil rights history because he was openly gay. He was also and he was also a life partner. And let me scroll this down, because I want you all to see also. This was Walter and Rustin back in the day. Look at this, okay? And then you come down here and
Rustin
you
liked them
have
young. But that's okay.
And here you have a beautiful photo here of Rustin as he speaks to the crowd and marchers from the Lincoln Memorial. Here he is here. See him there in the middle there. So he was basically almost tried to be taken off. Look at this. Look, doing his works. And look at this, I love this. And I love this photo here. Let me look at this photo here. After meeting with New York Mayor Wagner to discuss racial tensions in Harlem and Brooklyn, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bayard Rustin, and Reverend Bernard Lee leave Gracie Mansion. You better come on, Reverend. Sit in the middle. Come on, Reverend.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, because the work needs to be done. The work needs to be done. So I love this. Look at this beautiful photo here. Come on now. Beautiful photo. And it says here, Bayard Rustin and Walter Neagle first met in April 1977 and became steady partners until Rustin's death in 1987. So I love it that he even got his own love life together. He struggled with that. Even as he pushed forward for the movement of freedom, he was still struggling with that part. But isn't it great that once the movement happened, that his life also came into full comfort?
Right.
Isn't that amazing? That once you get the mission done, your whole life will just fall into place. I think that is so powerful. Justin, let me come over to you. And those of you who are watching, thank you so much, Mary, for all this information you have in the chats here. Thank you. She also said here, he was safer than Rainbow Push and mobsters in Shy Shy, in my opinion. She also says research Obama bio father from Chicago, born in the early 1900s. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much. But you guys, if you have not seen this movie, please watch this movie. And I think we do need to start celebrating people that are worthy to be celebrated. Even though Rustin is not here to hear the celebration and cheers from an earthly realm, his partner, Walter Neagle, is here. And we need to help him push to get Rustin's name to be more broad than it is. It is time for us to take these hidden gems and let our children know the other missing parts. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So that they will be better educated to know that just because people are looking at you different or may not want to include you in certain things, it does not mean that your mission can't be accomplished. This is a
Mhm.
beautiful movie. Beautiful. Thank you so much to Bayard Rustin for the work that he did. I love it so much. And I'm going to get some more information on this as well. I am going to try and reach out to the organization and see if we can speak with Walter Neagle or
Mhm.
someone at the organization, because we want to be a part of the movement that they're doing, basically to make sure that people's missions are not stopped because one party does not think that they look or act like them. Come on now. Thank you so much. Justin, thoughts on this? Closing thoughts.
Oh, closing thoughts. Oh my goodness.
No, no, go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead and do your thoughts. I'm sorry.
oh no, no, you're fine. You're fine. I was thinking about something that Jonathan said earlier about
Yes.
um, his relationship, Rustin's relationship with Martin Luther King, and how it was portrayed in the film, and
Mm-hmm.
that a relationship between the two of them would be preposterous. I think the film is about telling us that there is often more to the story than we've seen, that there
Yeah.
is other perspectives out there, and there's often, like I said, often more to the story than history tells. And what
Mm-hmm.
I came away from the movie thinking is, I don't care what the relationship was between Rustin and Martin Luther King. They stopped
Mm-hmm.
talking for 3 years or however long it was. For some reason, they had some tension.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the film does show Rustin in a relationship with a Southern Black pastor, Um,
Mm-hmm.
but whether or not, it has no bearing on who the man was and
Exactly.
his credibility and his contributions to our society. And
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful for Martin Luther King, the way that he navigated his leadership at that time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he had many opportunities to turn his back on Rustin and
Mhm.
denounce him as a friend, as an associate,
Yes.
and he chose not to. And I think the Lord ordains the right people to be in the right
Mhm.
places. And I'm
That's
so
right.
grateful that MLK was the leader that we needed him to be at the time.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Beautiful. Yeah.
I feel as though if Dr. Martin Luther King were still alive today, he would be one of the LGBTQIA plus's biggest allies, because he was such a big fighter for the African American movement and the civil rights movement. He would have been fighting just as hard, for us to get our freedoms as well. Yes, he did accept his resignation from the NAACP at the beginning of the movie. And that was
Mhm.
one mistake. And I truly believe that Dr. Martin Luther King learned from that mistake. And
Yes.
so, therefore, after Strong Thurmond ousted Rustin, I'm not sure if this happened in real life, but they showed a video of not only the chief, but Dr. Martin Luther King backing Rustin and, saying that, yes, he might have done this or might have done that, but I know Rustin as this, and I know Rustin as an
Right.
intellect, and I know Rustin as a freedom fighter. I know Rustin as a great man. Doesn't matter who he's sleeping with. It's the fact that he is a good man. His sexuality has nothing to do with who he with the type of person that he is, and how he moves and how he conducts himself. And I thought that was so special, because for a preacher, for a man of the cloth, of a leader, to have a gay, one of the most well-known preachers of all time, to have a gay friend. Like this is and of course, I understand why the African American community in general may not want us to know this information. I don't know if it was kept from us because of that very fact. I don't know. It's left up to interpretation, but I just love that juxtaposition. And
Yes.
and again, his relationship with Coretta just sent me over, because
Yes.
I have a lot of good girlfriends, and I just saw them as like me and my best friend. Like
Yes.
their embrace at that door when she said, "As I live and breathe," and it's just so warm, and you can see the absolute love that he had for Dr. Martin Luther King and his kids and his family,
And I
and the
think,
people that
Jonathan,
he loved.
I think, Jonathan, the reason why he felt so comfortable with Coretta Scott King and with the children is because he was comfortable enough to be himself.
Yes. Yes.
And when we make it when we're so hospitable that we allow people to be themselves, they will bring that comfort into your home. And that will be a blessing. It was a blessing not only to Coretta, it was a blessing to Dr. Martin Luther King. It was a blessing to those beautiful children.
Mhm.
And prayers and condolences out to the King family for their
Yes.
brother passing away. Prayers out to them, to the King families. Lift them up in prayer. But when you allow people to be themselves, their whole selves, thank you, Holy Spirit, 100% themselves, that is where the comfort can come in. And I'm so grateful to the people who produced and made this movie that they showed every single scene in the movie, every single one of them, even the parts where I wanted to get up and fight the TV when they were beating Rustin at the bus place, even when they were beating and pulling him out the car. But I'm so grateful to these producers, these writers, the directors, and I'm also so grateful to President Obama, because President Obama also had he gave him let me see here.
The
He said he had
presidential
yes,
freedom.
Medal
Okay.
of
yes,
Freedom. Mhm.
yes. And I'm not sure if that will make this larger on the screen here. It's not making it larger on the screen here. Yes, but he gave him the presidential award. I mean, this President Obama, I love it. He's like, no, I am not about to not mention this gentleman and not give him his accolades. And I love it. I love it. This movie was amazing, you guys. Amazing. Now, ranting with Big 50, I love you, girl. She said,
Okay.
y'all made me go subscribe to Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. You will enjoy it. You will love it. You will love it.
Yes, I loved it. I loved it. All right. So, you guys, let's go ahead and we'll do some closing thoughts on here. Thank you so much for that ranting. I love it. This was so amazing. This movie was so amazing. You guys have got to check it out. Check it out. It is amazing. It's on Netflix. The title is Rustin, Rustin. It is actually a must see. And remember, you guys, watch it with a clear mind. Even if you right, Holy Spirit, even if you go into it thinking one way, you watch this whole movie, it's going to turn your whole mind around to what is right and what is righteous. Okay, I love it. I'm going to come over here to Justin to give us our closing thoughts, and then down to Jonathan. What's your closing thoughts, Justin?
First, I just want to thank you so much for having me on the channel. It's such an honor. Closing thoughts about the film. Rustin is such a hero now for me. I'm so appreciative of you for introducing him to me when
Yeah.
the laws were in his way to get things done. He had the laws changed. You know, I can't imagine
Mhm.
somebody that to act in a more heroic way. And I'm like you said earlier, I'm disappointed that this person has not had his due in history throughout the years, but I'm grateful for the Obamas. I'm grateful for Netflix, everyone that had anything to do with shining a light
Yeah.
on the story.
Yes.
I hope that I think it bodes well for Hollywood that we're able to show Black stories from different perspectives,
Mhm.
interesting perspectives, and I'm really jazzed and encouraged about that.
I love it. I'm really jazzed too.
Yes. Come on, Jazz. Yes.
I love that. I'm gonna start using that. I'm really jazzed. It won't come across like Justin. Justin just has this voice that I just melt every time he speaks, you guys. It's just something with, I need to put Justin's voice on a little like, that's what I need to do, run his videos at night. Now I've listened to all of them, you guys, listen to all his videos, but I need to just listen and just be like, oh my goodness, the best rest. I bet you, because his voice is just so
They'll put
soothing.
you to sleep.
Yes.
Not in a bad
ASMR.
way. Not in a bad way, because I listen to all your videos, but that voice is so comforting. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That's the word.
Yes.
It is so comforting. Thank you, Justin, so much. I appreciate you. Jonathan, what's your closing thoughts on this beautiful movie?
Absolutely. I want to shout out the actor who played Rustin in this movie, Coleman Domingo. He is a Emmy and Golden Globe award winning actor. He was actually nominated for the Golden Globe for his portrayal of Rustin in this movie. I was surprised that he didn't get an Academy Award nomination, but that's okay. He still did an amazing job. This is going to go up as one of my favorite movies of all time because it is a story of not only overcoming obstacles, not only of freedom, not only of justice, not only of power, but it is a reflection of who we are. It is a reflection of our fight. It is a reflection of our life. It is a reflection of how we live, of how we move, of how we kind of do our thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, as I said a little bit earlier in the video, I feel as though Rustin represents so many of us in the LGBTQIA plus community. I saw myself so clearly in him. And I felt that connection. And I really wish that I would have been able to meet him personally because he did so much for not only me as an African American, but me as a gay man. And he deserves all of the accolades. And it's so sad when we do not realize the impact that people have had until they're gone. That is so unfortunate. However, it's better late than never at the end of the day. At least now we can say that we know who Bayard Rustin is. At least we can say now that he did this and he did that, and we can now give him his flowers that are just due. And I just love the entire film. It is just perfection, in my opinion.
It is absolutely. Now, I'm dropping in the description here this website that Walter Neagle has up. This is showing you they have a copy of the letter that President Barack Obama gave. Listen, it says, "I am pleased to join the Bayard Rustin Social Center for Social Justice in celebrating LGBT Pride Month." And it has wonderful information here signed on by President Barack Obama. They're doing a lot of work over there, you guys. So go over there, check them out, support them. Continues to support the mission. And remember, you guys, it's not just that you're supporting Rustin and the work that he did. It's so that you can help to tell people, don't be silenced. Don't stop the great work that we know that you were gifted to do. That, I believe, is the whole mission of this. And also to keep Bayard Rustin's name alive. This is Walter Neagle here. Continuing this. Look at the beautiful plaque here at the bottom that he has in his hand. Look at this. Beautiful. And he has made it his life venture to make sure and keep the name of Rustin going. And we can also help him by continuing to watch movies like this. Like Jonathan said, we need more culture movies. We need more real. And when you find out the real history, you guys, just because they may not look like what you wanted them to look like, they may not act the way you wanted them to act. If the mission that they were doing helped you, then I would ask that you continue to help someone else by sharing what you have learned. Don't keep it hidden. We don't need to hide history anymore. It is time for us to let those great men and women, let them out there, let the world know about the work that they did. Because remember this, thank you, Holy Spirit, you may be one of those who has done or is doing great work. And maybe people don't disagree, or maybe they agree with you, or maybe they don't disagree with you. But you don't want your name and your great work to be pressed down and suppressed. So if you don't want it done to you, don't continue to do it to others. You guys, let's celebrate Bayard Rustin and the work that he did, and also celebrate his wonderful life partner, Walter Neagle, for the work that he's continuing to do to make sure that people like Bayard Rustin continue the great work. Thank y'all so very much for being here at the Juice Radio and Talk Show. It's been so wonderful sharing this movie review with you all. Justin Talks Film, my friend, I love you so very much. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. Jonathan, you know I love you. I love you, love you, love you. You are a hot commodity on social media. Everybody wants you, but I'm so glad that I can get you. Everybody wants to chat with you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Love you so much. And thank you to all of our viewers, all of our supporters here at the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Thank you so very much for sharing this time with us, these moments with us. And I appreciate each and every one of you. We love you all. And remember our saying here at the Juice Radio and Talk Show as we close this out. Remember to go and love on one another. Love on somebody, you guys. They may need it. But while you're doing that, don't forget to love so much more on yourself. All right? Y'all stay blessed out here. Have a wonderful evening. Catch you on the
Bye,
next one.
y'all.
Good night, everyone.